Hi, it's Mark Owen from Moose Marketing and PR, the editor of Punchline magazine, and welcome to Punchline Talks. Today I'm joined by Chris Creed, the Chief Executive of Creed Foodservice. Great to see you again, Chris. Thanks for joining us.
Good to see you too, Mark.
Now, last time...
It's been a long time.
Oh, it's been a long time, isn't it? It's 18 months ago I came to see you in your office. The world, you guys were flying along. Whew, and then all hell broke loose, didn't it?
It did.
And so how you been anyway?
Well, I think the last time I met you, we were just celebrating the fact that we got into the Sunday Times 100 Best Companies to Work For. And as you're right, things were flying, things were going really, really well. And then within a couple of weeks, kind of the roof fell in on everything, really, and it was absolute disaster. Yeah. So
let's take a back step slightly. So how big a company was Creed or is Creed? What's your turnover? How many people did you employ?
2019 numbers were 81 million turnover, with about just shy of 400 people.
How many lorries did you have on the road?
Mid-80s, 85, I think.
Okay, and obviously the world suddenly flew, crashed down, the hospitality trade, everything went locked down. Can you tell us what happened
then? Panic. That's what happened. It was a really bad and really dark place, I think, for about a week until furlough was announced. We went from doing something just shy of 2 million a week down to about 400,000 a week. And our cost base is high because obviously with a lot of vehicles and premises and stock, we had a huge amount of stock that wasn't moving. So it was a real kind of perfect storm. And a huge amount of credit to our guys. They worked so hard on planning and working and how do we move the stock, what do we do? And we launched a B2C site within 7 days. So we had click and collect up and running. Generated something like £30,000 a week revenue, and kept people busy, and it kept us interested in doing things. But at the end of the day, it didn't go anywhere near to replacing the volume that we'd lost. So it was really tricky those first few weeks, and without furlough, I'm pretty sure we wouldn't be here today.
No,
so that's the thing that saved us.
I was talking to lots of business people at the time, and I had many family owners were all, they were really, really rocked. But I had people crying on the phone. Myself, I was really worried because not just worried about your business, you're worried about your family and your colleagues. You're worried about everything, isn't it? It was all encompassing, and you just didn't see a way out when they closed it all down. I mean, do you feel the government has done a good, fair job in trying to do what they do, or did?
I think they did a fair job. The only action we have to grind really is that all the retailers got rates relief, and they were flying, and certainly the food retailers. And we as food service wholesalers didn't get any rates relief at all. And we're still fighting that battle now. So, but at the end of the day, furlough came along, furlough supported us, and that's done an amazing job, really. And even despite that, we lost best part of 100 people, during those first number of months, which was awful. We built up a really strong team. We're a very close team in our company, and to lose that number of people was difficult.
I know when we spoke last, I can imagine that because you were very much on the button about your team and that family ethos and the training and everything that went into it. And it's quite funny when I walked away with my colleague that day, we both said in the car, and we sat in the car, God, they're really into that sort of side of things. So it's quite heartbreaking. I've had to make people redundant myself over the years, and it's never very easy. I mean, how did you decide who and what section, or was you just looking at the numbers thinking, no, I've got to cut here, got to cut there? What did you do?
To be honest with you, Mark, I probably wasn't that involved with it at that granular level. I mean, in terms of deciding what we had to cut in terms of cost, absolutely, I was involved at that. But actually, when it got down to that level, it probably wasn't so much to do with me. So, but it was hard. I mean, I know that our HR director, I mean, he really had a bad time for a number of weeks because he's very close to the teams, and it was very, very difficult.
Okay, well, let's talk about Creed Catering itself, about the actual business. So what do you guys do,
We sell food to caterers. That's primarily what we do. So we sell a broad line range. So we sell from fresh meat, we have our own butchers, fresh produce, dairy, frozen food, ambient food, all that kind of stuff. And so we would supply caterers all over the country. We've got 3 depots. We've got a base here in Cheltenham. We've got a big depot up in Ilkeston in Derbyshire, and we've got another depot in High Wycombe. And we do the whole country from there. We've got partners in Scotland and Northern Ireland who work with us with some of our national customers. And we basically sell our range of food to those caterers, pretty much anywhere that is selling food out of home.
And what was the secret to success? How did you grow so big?
People. I mean, you talk about earlier on about people, and I firmly believe in business that people are the key to it. And we employ people very much on attitude, not aptitude, and that's really, really important. And that we have this thing within Creed that they're either a Creed person or they're not. And I think that comes through very, very quickly. We have very strong values, and we manage our people based upon our values. And not everybody shares them. And I think that those guys probably don't suit working for us. So I think we're a good company to work for. I know we're a good company to work for, but not everybody has the same values that we do as a business. So we manage it very much that way.
So how did the business start then? Did you actually start a business?
No, I didn't. My father started a retail business. I don't know if you remember Limbar.
No, I'm not from around here.
Of course, no, you're from across the border, aren't you?
God's country.
So he started a retail business. Basically, he opened a corner shop. We worked for Woolworths and Lipton's, and then he opened a corner shop in Wadden in Cheltenham. Went to partnership with Limbar Supermarkets on Tewkesbury Road in Cheltenham. Grew that up to a fairly substantial 7 supermarkets. Those were sold in '89. But whilst he had the supermarkets, he opened up a distribution centre in Cheltenham in the Runnings. And on the back of that was an old cash and carry. So basically started caterers asked if we could deliver out to them in the Cotswolds, which we did. So when the supermarkets were eventually sold in '89, we had a food service business of a couple of million quid. And when the supermarkets were sold, we really just built the business up from there. So that was myself and my 3 brothers to start with. And then as we've gone on, we brought in sort of some other professional people from the industry and just outside it, who have helped us develop the business forward.
How old were you in the business?
How
old were you when you started into the business?
I became MD, I think, when I was 27.
Right, okay. So what did you do before that, Chris?
I worked, I left school, I went to work at GCHQ for a year. I then went into the retail business, running the delicatessen business side of the business and the wines and spirits. And then when the supermarket sold, I went into the food service business. My father kind of retired at that point, he was 50. But then shortly after that, he started getting a little bit bored of being retired. So that's when we bought the land at Springhampton and built the golf complex.
All right. Did he build it for your father?
Sorry?
Did he build it for your father then?
Oh no, he was he was in charge. He ran this place really until about three or 4 years ago. So so he's been here running it. We did a lot of stuff together, but it was his project.
How does it work within the family then? So you've got the brothers element going on. Are you always get on?
Yeah. No, I think we do generally. I think we have very different roles. So I'm chief exec. My older brother Paul, he runs the IT side of the business, which is very demanding nowadays in terms of online and everything else that we have to cope with, security and such like. Phil, he runs he's our sustainability director. So obviously, we use a lot of carbon. With a lot of diesel, a lot of refrigeration. So we're always constantly looking at how we can reduce that. So he looks after that side of stuff. And then Steve, which is Phil's twin, he runs the golf club.
Right.
So everyone has their defined roles.
Going back to when you started the distribution side of things, how did that element grow? Because was it clever marketing? Did you have really good salespeople? Did you put a strategy in place? Did you get the right? What was that? What did you do there for that next step, Chris?
That's a really, really good question, Mark. I think we just had a massive desire to want it to work. And again, coming back to having good people around us, working really hard, and making sure that we kind of did the job. And it wasn't, we didn't really have business plans and stuff in those days. There was no real kind of strategy meetings. It was kind of, we had this small business, and we had to do something with it. You know, there's 4 brothers, we all want to earn a living. So we had to do something, and we kind of just got on with it, I guess. I don't really, we just did. We just, you know, we went out, we saw customers, we spoke to people, you know, we did a good job, and we've just grown the business. And then probably in around 2000, mid-2000s, when we started thinking we probably needed, you know, to get this business to the next level, to employ some other people at a more senior level to really take it forward, which is what we've done.
What would you think was your biggest sort of mistake that you've made along the route? If you could change something.
How long have you got?
You got a while.
There's so many, and you know, I'm not. I'm one of these kind of people that I hate the status quo. I'm always looking at what's the next thing we're doing, how we're going to move it on, what's the market doing. You know, I don't like transactional relationships. I'd much rather talk about how we can help a customer develop their menu than how many boxes we can deliver into the back of their kitchen. So for me, it's always been about how we can add more value to our customer or our clients than we have done previously. So that's really, so we have our own development chef. He works with our clients all the time, developing things. You know, there's a shortage of hospitality staff at the moment. So, you know, we're constantly looking at ways that we can take process out of the kitchen. Are there other products that we can be using that will take less people in the kitchen? So that's really my desire. My passion is about how we can add much more value to our clients. So it's not just about the price of baked beans, if you like.
So it's about what. So the way that it works then, so you have a catering client, I don't know, in Yorkshire or something like this, and they've got a number of different hotels. Does he actually then bring you take your chef in there as well, and then you have a chat about how you can all work together, what type of food would work there? Is that
yeah. So what will happen generally is our chef will go and have a look at their facilities to see what they've got to work with. They'll have a chat about that kind of stuff, but then they'll tend to come back to our development kitchen, and they will then we'll present a range of options for them, what they're looking for. So in terms of, you know, things like, you know, chefs typically used to make you know, the old stock pots. There's a whole range of stocks now, which are, I mean, it's a health and safety issue, it's a danger issue. You know, when they had those things bubbling away. So there's a wide range of products now which are absolutely superb, that negate the need for that. And that's just one very small example, but there are loads of different things that you know, things that we see that our customers haven't necessarily seen.
Yeah, I mean, going back to, there used to be a chef years ago, right?
Yeah.
Big heavy pots used to put all the, but then that used to be, I suppose, maybe the chefs nowadays don't know how to, you know, dissect a chicken or a turkey or a sirloin steak. That's the big problem, isn't it? They don't come from colleges or university trained to do those jobs. Is that the way it works now?
I think that the people are probably buying. You know, we've obviously got chefs who are fully trained in that area, but we would also, you know, we supply a lot of nursing homes, we supply a lot of schools. So, you know, they typically, and they've got to move, you know, some of these big secondary schools, you know, they're feeding 1,000 kids in half an hour. So, you know, they need stuff that they've got, that they can't spend hours and hours prepping. You know, they've got to have stuff that's pretty prepped for them.
Yeah, I mean, when I was in the Air Force, 500-600 people would be 2-3 chefs, but we'd work 12-15 hours a day to do whatever we needed to do, because it wasn't really about the money, because they weren't paying our salaries as such. That was the point, is whether we could actually achieve to do those 3 meals. Has the industry itself then has changed fundamentally then from when you first started? What do you think is the biggest change? Is it the actual chefs themselves? Is it the mechanical, you know, the ovens that you're using, the equipment? What's been the biggest sea change in the industry?
I think there's no doubt the equipment that people now are using is far more sophisticated than it used to be. But I think products as well. I think, you know, a lot of ready-made products now are so much better. You know, a lot of frozen products are better. You know, we get even down to, you know, traditional cakes and that sort of stuff now. You know, we have them that come in that aren't iced, but that they look like a homemade cake. So there are a whole range of products now that people can use, and it looks much more homemade, much more authentic. And I think, you know, that's gone down well. I just think it's a convenience. I just think that, you know, as you point out, you know, people aren't trained as highly as they used to be, and chefs need more help now in the kitchen with products that are ready-made or part made.
Now, obviously, we've seen a really rise in the amount of people that have become vegan. That must see, must see that as a growth opportunity for a company like yours as well. Are you heavily involved in that area?
We are, yeah. I mean, vegan is a massive growth area. I mean, it's still from a very low base, but it's still very big. And I think if you look at one of our largest customers now has gone over to using vegan mayonnaise, only vegan mayonnaise. The taste is superb. You wouldn't know the difference. And it means there's no chance that they can get it mixed up. But that's only happening where that product is good enough. And it's a bit like gluten-free. A lot of the gluten-free products now are superb. So, we're using gluten-free products in mainstream food now, where we wouldn't have done that 5 or 10 years ago. So I think nutrition, allergens, all of those sort of things have a part to play as well. And as we go through into later this year when Natasha's Law comes into place, which is the packaging on allergens on packaged food, I think that will, again, make a big difference. People will either not make sandwiches themselves anymore because it's too dangerous to do so with regard to allergens, or they will have to make sure that they've got controls in place for that to work.
I mean, before lockdown, before the pandemic, about the government making restaurants put all the calories on all the food. I mean, you can't imagine how, a small independent hotel or restaurant in Wales or Yorkshire or somewhere else managing to do that. Do you agree with that? Do you think it's something?
Well, I think that's coming in next year, isn't it? I think it's either next year or the year after. I can't remember. So
it's like coming into law, is it?
Yeah. For any, I think it's any. I'm not 100% sure of this, but I think it's any company over 25 people, or it could be 250 people. One of those two. We probably need to check that. But we've got software that anybody can do that now. If you just load your recipe in just a particular piece of software, it will do all of the allergens, all the calorific value, nutritional value. It's very simple now. And we can do the same with labels on Natasha's Law. So all of that is in place. It's not difficult now.
So what's going to happen with Creed now as we're coming out of the lockdown? I mean, you must have, like you said, you lost 100 staff. You've got to rebuild the company back up to where you were. And how do you do that, Chris? How do you motivate yourself to do it? What drives you forward, and how are you going to try and achieve that?
I'm going to go back to the people thing again. I think that, as a team, we're probably stronger now than we were before. I think, when you come through this kind of adversity, it kind of pulls you all together. We as a board, as a business, we've kept communicating with our people all the way through, through either video. We can't visit so much, but, we've used Teams, we've used Zoom, we've used all that kind of stuff a lot. Keeping in touch with our people, all of our managers would speak to our guys that were on furlough. That was the worst thing, really. As people were coming back, everybody thought they had the worst of it. People that were fully furloughed hated being fully furloughed. People who were at work felt they'd been done by because other people were not working and being paid. And then people who were being partly furloughed. So kind of everybody thought they had the worst of it. So that was tricky. But I think over the last number of months, we've been fairly successful in winning new business. So we're back on track, well back on track now. And I would say there's a fantastic atmosphere. We had a manager's briefing last week, again via Teams, and that was really, really positive. So it doesn't need any motivation. We are back on track and going forward.
Now, Phil Vicker is the ambassador, isn't he? He works very closely with you. I've done a big interview with Phil not long ago.
Saw that.
How does that kind of work with you guys?
Well, Phil talks a lot about passion, and Phil is one of the most passionate people I know. He is a real foodie. He really is a foodie. He's also not from the industry, so he brings a different, he's a non-exec, so he sits on our quarterly board meetings. He brings a different slant on things. He brings a great passion and drive to our people as well, and to customers. We use him in that environment. So Phil's a really, really good guy. I mean, I'm a big fan of his, and he is really, also he's very, very authentic. Yeah. And I think that's what you have to be, and that's what we are.
No, I always like chatting with Phil. Conversations always last a lot longer than you think they are.
Yeah. Well, you think you can chat, but he just talks over you. Yeah, that's the way.
Good stuff. Now, you touched on earlier the Springhampton golf course. I was there the other day playing with Pied Piper Golf Day. The course itself is looking really, really
it's really good.
And again, that business must have been hit quite hard with the pandemic.
No, best year we've ever had.
You also tried the kicking football, malarkey. How did that go? Because you got rid of it now, haven't you?
Yeah, it was a bit of a fad. It was okay for a while. No, Brickhampton's been great. I mean, it is the busiest year we've ever had. Obviously, people had time off. They were playing golf. It's still very busy. In fact, we're launching a business lounge for our business club members next week. So that's where I am at the moment. So that's pretty exciting. I think that we're as a business, we do hospitality really, really well in golf, and that's really where we're going to start driving the added value from this place. So yeah, we're really excited. It's going very well.
How much? Sorry, how much have you invested in Springhampton over the years, and what's the sort of general turnover?
Turnover of Brickhampton is 1.3 million, so it's not huge, but it is. It's a nice legacy business. It's something that we will leave, and it's developed really, really well. We've invested a lot over the years, and it's just it's a great thing to have.
It's a great course. But I play bad.
Do you?
I do. Just very quickly, I'd like to touch on, because we're kind of running out of time, and before we get to the 3 top business tips, just a quickie really. What's your favourite music that you like listening to, and what's the last LP that you bought?
Do you know what? I've got a playlist, and that hasn't changed for the last 18 months, at least 18 months. And I just play that, and that is a wide range of everything. From the Clash to Michael Bublé, just loads of different things. So yeah, I wouldn't say I was massively into music, but I have my own particular stuff that I like, and so I don't know.
Is there a particular group or particular singer you think?
I wouldn't say so. No, I kind of, if I like a song, I listen to it.
Okay, I'm really into Taylor Swift at the moment. Don't ask me why.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just
okay.
What's the sort of are you reading a book? Are you a book person? Are you a newspaper person? Are you a trade magazine?
I'm not really a newspaper person. I get most of my news online, I'd say, from Punchline, of course. I did a couple of courses last year on wood-fired cooking. So there's a book called The Ultimate Wood-Fired Cookbook by Genevieve Taylor. So that's quite an interesting book. I've got several barbecues. I'm really interested in that sort of stuff. In fact, we've got a barn at home which we use for we bring clients along to, and we do stuff, cooking on barbecues and those sorts of things. So it's quite interesting.
Yeah, no, I used to love barbecues when I was in the Air Force on the beach side there, and 200 guys rock up, and you have to cook them a dinner. Always great fun. So moving aside then, so I'm running out of time. What's your top 3 business tips, please, Chris?
As I said to you earlier on, I think people. I think for me that is the absolute pinnacle. I think getting the right people, making sure you work hard, really, really hard on engaging with them at all levels, all the time. I think senior people, I've made sure that I have no attention span whatsoever. So I don't tend to work in the business. I tend to, I'll probably have, I don't know how many ideas a week that really annoy people, because we're doing a great job, and then I come along and say, what about this and what about that? So I have a team of people who are really focused on detail, really focused on their job and what they do, and I kind of look at what's the next thing, what are we doing next, where are we going, how do we engage more with our clients, that kind of stuff. So I think people is absolutely the number one. I think also that get yourself a set of values and stick to them. So ours is commercial, friendly, nurturing, and proud. Live those values, because if you don't live the values, they don't exist. It would have been really easy during COVID to not live those values. We were doing really bad financially, and by living our values, it cost us more money than it probably could have done. But that was the right thing to do. So we made sure that we lived by those values. And I guess the last one really is really believe in what you're doing. Be prepared to make mistakes, but passionately, 100% believe in what you're doing and where you're going with it. You will hit a few road bumps along the way, and we've definitely had some of those. But just keep pushing on, and I think that's the that fortitude to make sure and have confidence in your decision making.
Chris, thanks so much for your time once again. Hopefully I'll see you very soon, have a pint, and all the best for the very future. Thank you, Chris.
All right. Thanks, Mark.